You have exactly 1 hour to pack your things and leave this house. Aidan Blackwood stared at his father, certain he'd misheard. The cocaine residue still burned in his nostrils from last night's party. The party that had ended with him crashing his third Ferrari into the fountain of their estate. His mother stood behind his father, her face carved from marble, those perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around a glass of morning champagne that trembled slightly. You're joking. Aidan laughed, but the sound cracked like thin ice. Where exactly am I supposed to go? The Hamptons house? The Penthouse Inn? You're going nowhere that bears our name. His father's voice could have frozen hell. You've embarrassed this family for the last time. 23 years old, and you've contributed nothing but scandal and shame. But I'm your son. No son of mine would sell drugs from my study. No son of mine would seduce his best friend's fiancée and broadcast it online. No son of mine would steal from the charity gala meant for children's cancer research to fund his gambling debts. Each accusation landed like a physical blow. Aidan's hands shook as he reached for his phone. I'll call grandfather. He'll already spoke to him. And your aunt. And every family member who might take pity on you. His mother finally spoke, her voice steady as a surgeon's hand. They all agree. You need to learn what it means to survive without the Blackwood fortune. This is insane. You can't just. Security will escort you out. His father turned away. Take only what you can carry. Everything else belongs to us. The world tilted. This wasn't happening. They'd threatened before, but never actually. Please. The word tasted foreign in his mouth. When had he last said please to anyone? Just give me another chance. I'll go to rehab. You've been to rehab 4 times. Each time you came back worse. His mother's composure finally cracked, tears cutting through her foundation. We're not doing this to punish you, Aidan. We're trying to save you. Because if you continue this path, you'll be dead before your 25th birthday. Heavy footsteps announced the arrival of security. Marcus and James, men who'd protected him since childhood, who'd carried him home from countless parties, who'd covered up more scandals than he could count. Now they wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Marcus said quietly. Aidan's designer shoes clicked against marble as he backed away. You'll regret this. When I make it on my own, when I prove you wrong. I pray for that day, his father said without turning around. But until then, you're no longer welcome here. The next hour blurred. Grabbing clothes, his laptop, the watch his grandfather gave him, until James stopped him. That's a family heirloom, sir. Has to stay. Sir. Even now, habits died hard. Standing at the gates of the estate, a single duffel bag in hand, Aidan watched them close with electronic finality. The October wind cut through his designer jacket. He had $300 in his wallet, pocket change that wouldn't cover a night at his usual hotel. He walked. Where else could he go? His friends weren't really friends, they were satellites orbiting his wealth. Without it, he was nothing to them. The first 3 calls proved it. Aidan, heard about your situation. Yeah, can't help you, man. My parents would kill me. Sorry, bro. No room here. New phone, who's this? Hey, my friend, hope you're doing well. Drop a comment and let me know how you're feeling about this story so far and where you are watching from. Some stories are too close to my heart to share on YouTube. I send those, along with little life lessons and surprises, to my email circle. If you'd like to be part of it, you can join with the link in the description. Night fell. The temperature dropped. His feet bled in shoes made for country clubs, not concrete. Hunger, real hunger, not the kind fixed by calling for sushi at 2 a.m., gnawed at his stomach. He'd eaten nothing since yesterday's liquid lunch. Please, I just need a place for the night. He begged at the 5th homeless shelter, but they were full. Or they recognized him from the tabloids and wanted no part of his drama. By dawn, he'd spent the night under a bridge, his designer jacket stolen while he dozed, leaving him shivering in just a thin shirt. The irony wasn't lost on him. He owned a closet worth more than most people's houses, and now he couldn't even keep warm. That's when he saw her. Agnes Washington moved through the park with purpose despite her 73 years, distributing sandwiches from a worn grocery cart. Her silver hair caught the morning light like a halo. She stopped at each bench, each cardboard shelter, knowing names, asking about medications, about children, about hopes. When she reached him, her dark eyes studied his face with an intensity that made him want to disappear. You're the Blackwood boy, she said. Not a question. He nodded, unable to speak. I clean your parents' house. Have for 30 years. She unwrapped a sandwich, handed it to him. Eat. The simple kindness broke something in him. Tears he'd held back for 24 hours finally fell. They threw me out. I have nowhere. I know. Your mother called me. Agnes sat beside him on the cold bench, her presence warm as summer. Cried for an hour, that woman did. Begged me to make sure you didn't die on the streets. And you're here to, what? Report back to them. I'm here because no child should be alone and hungry, no matter what they've done. She stood, bones creaking. You can come with me if you want. I don't have much, a small apartment above the bakery where I work mornings. But there's a couch. And rules. Rules. You work. You contribute. You respect my home and my granddaughter who lives with me. You stay clean, no drugs, no alcohol. You become the man your parents believe exists somewhere inside you. Aiden looked at his hands, soft, manicured, useless. Then at this woman offering him what his own blood wouldn't, a chance. Why would you do this? Agnes smiled, and in that moment, she was the most beautiful person he'd ever seen. Because 30 years ago, someone gave me a chance when I had nothing. And because I see something in you, boy. Something worth saving. She started walking. After a moment, Aiden followed, not knowing that this small, weathered woman would teach him the meaning of wealth that had nothing to do with money. The apartment above Rosette's bakery was smaller than Aiden's childhood closet. 3 rooms total, a living space that merged with a kitchenette, and 2 bedrooms so tiny you could touch both walls standing in the middle. The couch Agnes offered him sagged in the center, springs announcing every movement. The walls, painted sometime in the previous century, showed water stains like abstract art. Home, Agnes announced, setting down her keys on a table that wobbled until she stuck a folded newspaper under one leg. The door to one bedroom opened, and Aiden forgot how to breathe. The woman who emerged couldn't have been more different from the models and socialites he usually pursued. Josephine Washington wore paint-splattered jeans and an oversized sweater with holes at the elbows. Her hair, natural and proud, formed a crown around a face that needed no makeup to devastate. But it was her eyes, deep brown, intelligent, wary, that held him frozen. You brought him here. Josephine's voice carried an edge sharp enough to cut glass. The same Aiden Blackwood who made headlines last month for that yacht scandal. Everyone deserves a second chance, Joe. His 15th chance, you mean? She grabbed an apple from the counter, each movement dismissing his existence. How much are his parents paying you? Nothing. This isn't about money. Josephine laughed, bitter as black coffee. Everything with the Blackwoods is about money. Trust me, I know. I've been cleaning their messes, literal and figurative, since I was 16. She'd worked for his family. Aiden searched his memory but came up empty. Then again, he'd never paid attention to the help. I don't remember you, he admitted. Of course you don't. She turned those devastating eyes on him. I was invisible. Just another pair of hands cleaning up after your parties. Do you remember the Christmas gala 2 years ago? When you and your friends thought it would be hilarious to pour champagne on the ice sculpture until it melted all over the floor. The memory surfaced like a slap. We were just having fun. While I spent 6 hours on my knees cleaning it up, missing my final exam study group, which I needed to keep my scholarship. But hey, you tipped me $50, so everything was fine, right? Agnes intervened. Joe, he's here to change. Leopards don't change their spots, Grandma. They just learn to hide them better. Josephine headed for the door. I have a shift at the hospital. When I get back, I don't want to see him here. The door slammed with finality. Hospital? Aiden asked. She's a nursing student. Final year. Works 3 jobs to pay for it since. Agnes paused. Since her parents died. My daughter and son-in-law. Car accident when Joe was 15. The weight of real loss settled over the room. Aiden had lost things. Cars, money, status. But never people. Never love. I should go, he said. I don't want to cause problems between you. You sit down. Agnes's tone brooked no argument. Joe's anger isn't really about you. It's about what you represent. The carelessness of wealth. The assumption that money fixes everything. She moved to the kitchen, pulling out ingredients. Her parents died because a rich man's son was racing his sports car on the highway. Walked away without a scratch or a conviction. Money made sure of that. Aiden sank onto the couch, springs groaning in protest. I didn't know. Lots you don't know, boy. But you're going to learn. She started chopping vegetables with practiced efficiency. Tomorrow, you start working at the bakery. 4 a.m. sharp. 4 a.m. I don't think I've ever been awake at. You have now. Minimum wage. You'll help with deliveries, cleaning, whatever Rosette needs. Half your pay goes to rent, half you save. No arguments. The old Aiden would have laughed, walked out, called someone to rescue him. But that Aiden had options. This one had Agnes Washington and a sagging couch. That night, he barely slept. The apartment's sounds were alien, pipes clanging, neighbors arguing, sirens wailing. At 3:45 a.m., Agnes knocked on his door. Up and at M. The bakery was a different world before dawn. Flour dust danced in the air like snow. The ovens radiated heat that made him sweat through his shirt, his last designer shirt, now ruined. Rosette, the owner, was a mountain of a woman with arms like a linebacker and a laugh that could wake the dead. So you're the rich boy Agnes took in. Can you lift 50 pounds of flour? Maybe. She thrust a bag at him. He nearly dropped it, his gym-sculpted muscles apparently decorative rather than functional. Rosette laughed. We'll build you up. Real strength, not that mirror muscle nonsense. The first week nearly killed him. His hands blistered from the hot pans. His back screamed from constant bending. He burned bread, dropped eggs, mixed salt instead of sugar into a batch of cookies that had to be thrown away, $40 of waste that Rosette deducted from his pay. I quit, he announced on day 6, collapsing on the couch. Agnes didn't look up from her knitting. No, you don't. This is insane. I wasn't made for this kind of work. What kind of work were you made for? The question hung in the air. What had he ever actually done? What skills did he have beyond spending money and destroying things? Josephine came home during this existential crisis, medical textbooks weighing down her bag. She glanced at his blistered hands. Hurts, doesn't it? Real work. I've worked, he defended weakly. Name one thing you've created. One thing you've built. One person you've helped without expecting something in return. He couldn't. She sat down, not near him, but not completely across the room either. Progress. You want some advice? Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're not the victim here. You had every opportunity in the world and wasted them all. Now you have this chance, probably your last one. Grandma sees something in you. I don't. Prove me wrong, or prove me right. Your choice. That night, Aiden found Agnes's photo albums while she was at her evening church service. Pictures of a younger Agnes with a man in military uniform, her late husband. Josephine as a baby, held by a couple whose joy radiated from the photograph. The same couple, older, teaching a young Josephine to ride a bike, attending her recitals, cheering at graduations. Then, nothing. A gap where lives ended. More recent photos showed Josephine at various ages, always with Agnes, but something missing in her eyes. That light her parents had put there, extinguished. Snooping. Josephine caught him. I'm sorry. I was just. They were teachers, she said, surprising him by sitting down and taking the album. Mom taught special needs kids. Dad taught history at the community college. They didn't have much money, but they had everything else. Her finger traced their faces. The boy who killed them was 19. Drunk, high, showing off his new Lamborghini. He served 30 days in a private rehabilitation facility. We got a settlement that barely covered the funeral. That's not justice. No, but it's what money buys. She looked at him then, really looked at him. How many times did money save you from consequences, Aiden? Too many to count. DUIs dismissed, assault charges dropped, drug possession explained away. His parents' lawyers on speed dial, judges who golf with his father, a system designed to protect him from himself. I never killed anyone, he said quietly. No, but you could have. Every time you drove high, every time you acted like the world was your playground. You could have been that boy who took my parents. The truth of it was devastating. He saw himself clearly for the first time, not as a rebel or a victim of strict parents, but as a danger to everyone around him, protected by privilege from the consequences of his choices. I'm sorry, he said, the words inadequate but sincere. Don't apologize to me. Change. The next morning, he arrived at the bakery at 3:30 a.m. Rosette raised an eyebrow. I want to learn, he said. Really learn. Teach me everything. Something shifted after that. Rosette began showing him the art behind the work, how to tell dough's readiness by touch, how to adjust recipes for humidity, how to decorate cakes with steady hands and patience. Agnes taught him to budget, to cook simple meals, to find dignity in any honest work. But it was Josephine who taught him the most, though she didn't mean to. He watched her study until 2 a.m. after 12-hour hospital shifts, never complaining. Saw her give her lunch to a homeless veteran, going hungry herself. Witnessed her hold a dying patient's hand for hours, singing softly when the family couldn't afford to fly in for goodbye. 3 weeks into his new life, his old friend Marcus Chen appeared at the bakery. Aiden, Jesus, is it really you? Marcus's designer clothes looked alien in the flour-dusted space. Your parents don't know I'm here. But man, everyone's talking. Some say you're dead, others say you joined a cult. I'm working. Marcus laughed. Come on. Drop this act and come party. I've got a suite at the Four Seasons, tables at every club. Your parents will take you back eventually. They always do. For a moment, the old life beckoned. Comfort, ease, numbness. Then he saw Josephine through the window, arriving for her afternoon shift, and the choice wasn't a choice at all. I can't. You're serious? You're choosing this. Marcus gestured at the bakery with disgust. Over everything we had. We never had anything, Mark. We just thought we did. Marcus left shaking his head, and Aiden knew word would spread. His former friends would mock him, say he'd lost his mind. But as Josephine entered, offering him the smallest of nods, not quite approval, but acknowledgement, he realized he might be finding it instead. That evening, Agnes fell ill. A cold, she insisted, but her cough sounded like broken glass. Josephine's worry was palpable as she made tea, checked her grandmother's temperature, adjusted pillows with practiced medical precision. She's all I have left, Josephine said quietly while Agnes dozed. If something happens to her. Nothing will happen, Aiden promised, not knowing how wrong he would be, not knowing that life had more lessons to teach them all. The call came at 2 a.m. on a Thursday, 6 weeks into Aiden's new life. He'd finally gotten used to the rhythm, up at 3:30, bakery until noon, warehouse from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., collapse on the couch, repeat. His hands had hardened, his body had strengthened, and somewhere along the way, he'd stopped missing cocaine and started craving the satisfaction of honest exhaustion. But that call changed everything. Aiden. Josephine's voice, usually so controlled, cracked like breaking glass. It's Grandma. We're at Mercy General. Can you come? He didn't remember the run to the hospital, just arriving breathless to find Agnes looking impossibly small in the hospital bed, machines beeping around her like electronic prayers. Her breathing was labored, each inhale a battle she was slowly losing. The cough, Josephine explained, her medical training making her voice clinical even as her eyes betrayed terror. I should have insisted she come in sooner. It's pneumonia, both lungs. But there's something else. Her immune system isn't responding normally. But she'll be fine. Aiden asked, though the question felt hollow. They are running tests. Her age makes everything complicated. 73-year-old lungs don't fight like young ones do. Agnes opened her eyes, managed a weak smile that took visible effort. Stop fussing. I've survived worse than a little cough. But she hadn't, not really. The tests revealed what Josephine had feared, chronic kidney disease, stage 4. Years of untreated diabetes and high blood pressure, conditions she'd ignored while caring for everyone else, had silently destroyed her kidneys. She needs dialysis immediately, Dr. Martinez explained, his kind eyes not softening the blow. 3 times a week minimum. She's going on the transplant list, but at her age, with her other conditions. I'll get tested, Josephine interrupted. For compatibility. Today. Me too, Aiden said, the words coming from somewhere deeper than thought. Josephine looked at him sharply. This isn't a game, Aiden. It's major surgery. It's a lifetime commitment. You can't just. I know what commitment means now. He met her eyes. Agnes saved my life. Let me try to save hers. The testing began immediately. Blood draws, tissue samples, psychological evaluations. The social worker raised eyebrows at his history, the drug use, the arrests carefully scrubbed from official records but still floating in Google searches. Mr. Blackwood, organ donation requires absolute certainty. Your history suggests. That was before, he interrupted. I'm different now. People don't change that dramatically in 6 weeks. They do when they meet Agnes Washington. While they waited for results, The bills began arriving like an avalanche of impossibility. Medicare covered some, but the gaps were chasms. The private room Josephine insisted on, so Agnes wouldn't be disturbed, was $300 a day extra. The specialized medications, the respiratory therapist, the kidney specialist consultations, thousands upon thousands. Agnes's small savings account, built over 30 years of careful scrimping, evaporated in 3 days. Josephine took every extra shift the hospital would allow, studying in supply closets between patients, sleeping in chairs during her 15-minute breaks. Aidan picked up double shifts at the bakery and begged Rosette for more hours. "You're already working 14-hour days," Rosette said, concerned. "You need rest." "I need money more." She found him evening work at her cousin's warehouse, loading trucks until his hands went numb and his back screamed. He was making $400 a week, a fortune by his new standards, nothing against the medical bills. 3 weeks into Agnes's treatment, everything got worse. Josephine collapsed during rounds, crashing into a medication cart before hitting the floor. Exhaustion, dehydration, stress, her body had simply stopped cooperating. Aidan found her in a bed 3 floors below her grandmother, and 4 in her arm and fury in her eyes. "I'm fine," she insisted, trying to get up. "You're not. You haven't eaten a real meal in days. You're sleeping 2 hours a night. You're going to kill yourself. Better than letting her die. She wouldn't want this. You know she wouldn't. Don't tell me what my grandmother would want." But the fight went out of her, replaced by exhaustion so complete she looked translucent. "I can't lose her, Aidan. She's all I have. She's the only reason I survived losing my parents. If she dies..." "She won't. We won't let her." But even as he said it, he knew they were losing. The dialysis was keeping Agnes alive but not living. She was too weak to walk, barely eating. The light in her eyes, that fierce love that had saved him, was dimming. That's when temptation arrived in the form of a black Mercedes. William Ashford stepped out looking like everything Aidan had left behind. Armani suit, Rolex catching the light, confidence that came from never having to check a price tag. They'd been roommates at Princeton before Aidan got expelled for selling Adderall to half the freshman class. "Jesus, Aidan. You look different." "I was going to say rough." William's nose wrinkled at the flour dust in Aidan's hair, the calluses on his hands. "Heard about your situation. Parents cut you off completely." "I cut myself off." "Right." William clearly didn't believe it. "Listen, I have a proposition. Business opportunity. Not interested. Hear me out. 1 weekend's work. Nothing illegal, technically. Just morally flexible. You help me convince some international students to invest in my crypto startup. Use your name, your story. Reformed bad boy makes good, that angle. My name's worthless now. Not to them. These are new money kids, Chinese billionaires' children, Saudi princes, Russian oligarchs' offspring. They don't know about your fall from grace. They just know the Blackwood name. 1 weekend, 50,000 cash. 50,000. Enough to cover Agnes's treatment for months. Enough to let Josephine quit one of her jobs, focus on school, sleep. These students, they can afford to lose the money. William shrugged. Their parents buy them Ferraris for their 16th birthdays. This is pocket change. What's the real scheme, Will? No scheme. I have a legitimate company. It's just pre-revenue, pre-product, pre-everything except potential. So it's a scam. It's speculation. Every tech company starts this way. Amazon lost money for years. Amazon had actual products. Details. William pulled out his phone, showed Aidan a bank account with more zeros than he'd seen in months. "Look, I already have investors. I just need more to reach critical mass. You help me get there, you get your cut. Everyone wins. Everyone except the kids who lose their money. They are not kids. They are 20-somethings who've never worked a day in their lives. Consider it wealth redistribution." The old Aidan would have said yes immediately. The new Aidan had learned the weight of choices. "I need to think about it." That evening, he found Josephine crying in the apartment, the first time he'd seen her truly break. She was surrounded by papers, and in her hand was an acceptance letter from Johns Hopkins. "Their specialized nursing program," she explained through tears. "I got in months ago. Full scholarship, living stipend, guaranteed placement in their research hospital after graduation." "Joe, that's incredible. Why are you crying?" "Because I have to decline. I can't leave Grandma. Not now, maybe not ever. She sacrificed everything for me after my parents died. Worked 3 jobs to keep me in good schools. Went without her blood pressure medication to pay for my SAT prep. Developed the kidney disease because she ignored her diabetes to afford my undergraduate degree. She'd want you to go. That's what makes it worse. She'd insist I go, even if it kills her. She'd die alone rather than hold me back. Josephine crumpled the letter. I won't let that happen. Aiden made his decision in that moment. The next morning, before his bakery shift, he met William at a coffee shop that cost more for a latte than he now made in an hour. I'll do it, but I need half up front. Quarter now, the rest after. Half or I walk. William studied him. You've gotten harder. I've gotten desperate. The money changed hands in cash, 25,000 in hundreds that felt heavier than flour sacks. Aiden deposited it immediately into Agnes's medical account under Josephine's name, routing it through 3 different charitable organizations to make it look like anonymous donations. I don't understand, Josephine said that evening, staring at the bank statement. $25,000? Who would do this? Agnes, despite her weakness, smiled knowingly at Aiden. Angels come in all forms, child. Don't question miracles. But the miracle came with a price. That weekend, Aiden returned to his old world, or a version of it. William had rented a suite at the Ritz, hired models to play entrepreneurs, created an entire theatrical production of success. The international students arrived in waves, each more eager than the last to be part of the next big thing. Aiden played his role perfectly, the reformed scion with inside knowledge, the trustworthy name with a compelling redemption story. My family's lawyers are already invested, he lied smoothly to a young Saudi prince. But we're keeping it quiet until the IPO. The technology is revolutionary, he assured a Chinese heiress. Blockchain meets AI meets quantum computing. Words that meant nothing, promises worth less. By Sunday night, William had secured $2 million in investments for a company that existed mostly in PowerPoint slides. Aiden took his remaining $25,000 and ran, but guilt followed him home. Those students would lose everything. He'd become again what he'd sworn to leave behind. Someone who hurt others for personal gain, even if that gain was for someone else. The guilt showed. Josephine noticed immediately. What's wrong? You've been different since last weekend. Just tired from the extra shifts. She studied him with those penetrating eyes that had learned to read pain like text. You're lying. I grew up watching people hide hurt, Aiden. You're carrying something heavy. Before he could respond, his phone rang. A number he hadn't seen in 2 months, his mother. Aiden. We heard about Agnes. About what you've been doing for her. How did you? We've kept tabs. From a distance. Your father, he wants to offer something. Agnes can have the best treatment at Cedars-Sinai. Private suite, the best doctors, experimental treatments not covered by insurance. Everything. The offer was salvation wrapped in suspicion. What's the catch? No catch. Just, come to dinner. Both of you. Let us see you. See who you've become. Bring Josephine if you'd like. We want to meet the woman who's helped change you. He looked at Josephine, who was pretending not to listen while organizing Agnes's medications with shaking hands. At Agnes, sleeping fitfully in the rented hospital bed they'd crammed into the living room, the dialysis machine humming its mechanical lullaby. I'll think about it. Aiden, his mother's voice softened. We know about William Ashford. About what you did. The FBI contacted your father's lawyers. Those students' parents are filing charges. The floor dropped away. Everything he'd built, everything he'd become, it would all crumble. Josephine would know what he'd done. Agnes would lose her faith in him. He'd go to prison, and without him working, they couldn't afford any treatment. Fix this, he whispered. Please. Come to dinner. We'll discuss options. The line went dead. Josephine was staring at him now, no longer pretending not to listen. What have you done? What I had to do. That's not an answer. Unable to face her, he fled to the roof, a hidden space she'd shown him weeks ago where she went to think. She found him there an hour later. The city sprawled below them like a circuit board of lights. My parents used to bring me up to our roof, she said, not looking at him. Dad would point out constellations, make up stories about them. Mom would bring hot chocolate, even in summer. She paused. I miss them every day, but lately it hurts less. Grandma says that's good, that it means I'm healing. But sometimes I feel guilty for not hurting as much. Pain isn't loyalty, Aiden said. Living well, being happy, that honors them more than suffering. She turned to him. When did you become wise? Around the time I realized I'm in love with you. The words hung between them like suspended breath. Josephine's eyes widened, then softened, then hardened again. You don't get to say that. Not when you're lying to me. Not when you're about to run back to your parents. I'm not running back. I'm trying to save Agnes. By becoming who you used to be. By using who I used to be. There's a difference. Is there? She moved closer, close enough that he could smell the hospital antiseptic still clinging to her scrubs. Because the Aiden I've been falling for wouldn't lie to me. Wouldn't sneak around. Wouldn't. He kissed her then, desperately, hungrily, like a drowning man gasping for air. She resisted for a heartbeat, then responded with equal desperation, equal need. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. I hate you, she whispered. No, you don't. I hate that I don't hate you. I hate that you've made me care. I hate that you're going to break my heart. I'm not. You are. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. People like you always do. His phone buzzed. William. Then again. Then continuously. FBI raided my apartment. The texts read. They have everything. Your name, recordings, documents. Get lawyers now. Josephine read the messages over his shoulder. The truth dawned on her face like a horrible sunrise. The money. The anonymous donations. That was you. You scammed those students. For Agnes. For you. Don't you dare put this on us. She backed away. We needed help, not fraud. We needed honesty, not crimes. You needed $50,000. We needed you. She was crying now, angry tears that cut him worse than any words. The real you. The one who works 18-hour days without complaining. The one who learned to bake bread and load trucks and care about people other than himself. Not this ghost of who you were. I'm still that person. No, that person wouldn't have done this. She headed for the door. Your parents' offer, take it. Get Agnes the help she needs. Then disappear. Because if you've cost my grandmother her dignity, her faith in you, I'll never forgive you. She left him on the roof with the weight of his choices and the taste of their first and possibly last kiss. The next morning, Aiden put on his only clean shirt, a simple button-down from Target that somehow felt more authentic than any designer piece he'd owned. Agnes called him to her bedside before he left. I know what you did, she said quietly, her voice weaker but her eyes still sharp. The money. The deal you made. Josephine told me. Agnes, I'm not judging. But secrets and lies have a way of destroying everything they touch. Whatever happens next, be honest. With yourself, with Joe, with your parents. The truth might hurt, but lies will kill what you're trying to build. What if the truth sends me to prison? Then you face it with dignity. The man you've become wouldn't run from consequences. He kissed her forehead, feeling the fever that hadn't broken in days, and left for a meeting that would determine everything. His parents' mansion looked different through his new eyes. Not impressive but imposing, not beautiful but cold, a monument to everything he'd rejected and might have to embrace again. The gates that had locked him out now opened smoothly, but they felt more like prison bars than a welcome. His mother answered the door herself, no staff, no pretense. She looked older, tired, wearing the kind of casual clothes he'd never seen her in before. His father stood behind her, and for the first time, Aiden saw uncertainty in his eyes. Hello, son, his father said. We need to talk about William Ashford, and the FBI, and the choice you're about to make. They led him to the study, the same room where they'd banished him months ago. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The students William defrauded, his mother began. Their parents are powerful people. They want blood. The FBI has enough to charge you with wire fraud, conspiracy, possibly RICO violations if they can prove a pattern. It was one weekend. One weekend that netted $2 million in fraudulent investments. That's serious prison time, Aiden. 5 to 10 years minimum. The number hit him like a physical blow. 10 years. Agnes would be gone. Josephine would have moved on. His life would be over before it had really begun. But, his father said, we can make it disappear. How? The same way we always have. Lawyers, connections, strategic donations to the right campaigns. The students get their money back with interest. William takes the fall alone. He's already looking at charges for 6 other schemes. You walk away clean. And in return, his parents exchanged glances. You come home. Resume your place in the family. Marry someone appropriate. The Winterbourne girl is still interested, despite everything. Take your position at the company. Become the heir we need. And Agnes. Josephine. We'll ensure Agnes gets the best treatment. Full coverage, the best doctors, whatever she needs for as long as she needs it. And Josephine. His mother's expression hardened slightly. The Washington girl has a bright future. We'll ensure she can pursue it. The Johns Hopkins program, a generous stipend, career opportunities after graduation. Far away from here. Far away from you. The trap was perfect. Save himself and Agnes but lose Josephine. Or refuse and destroy all three of their lives. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow morning, his father said. The FBI plans to arrest you tomorrow afternoon. Decide quickly. As Aidan left the mansion, he realized he stood at the crossroads between who he'd been and who he'd become, with no good path forward. The old him would have taken the deal instantly. But the new him, the one Agnes had nurtured and Josephine had challenged into existence, couldn't imagine life in that golden cage again. His phone buzzed. A text from Josephine. Grandma's taken a turn. Come quickly. He ran toward the hospital, toward Agnes, toward a choice that would define not just his future but the man he truly was. The inciting catastrophe was complete. Now came the impossible decision of what to do about it. The hospital corridor stretched endlessly before Aidan as he ran, his Target sneakers squeaking against polished floors. He found Josephine outside the ICU, her face a masterpiece of controlled devastation. She didn't acknowledge him, just stared through the glass at Agnes, who was connected to more machines than he could count. Kidney failure accelerating, she said clinically. The dialysis isn't enough anymore. Her heart is struggling with the fluid buildup. The doctor gives her maybe 7 to 2 hours without a transplant. The test results came back an hour ago. I'm not a match. Different blood type than we thought. She never knew her biological father. Records were wrong. She finally looked at him. You're not a match either. Too many tissue incompatibilities. The weight of it crushed him. All his sacrifices, all his changes, and he couldn't give her the one thing she needed. Dr. Martinez approached, his face grave. Miss Washington, Mr. Blackwood. There's been a development. A kidney just became available in San Francisco. Perfect match for Agnes. Thank God, Josephine breathed. But there's a problem. The transplant isn't covered under her current insurance. The surgery, anti-rejection drugs, recovery. We're looking at $300,000 minimum. Without immediate payment guarantee, the kidney goes to the next person on the list. You have 6 hours to decide. Josephine's legs gave out. Aidan caught her, held her as she shook with silent sobs. 300,000. Might as well have been 3 billion. I'll get it, Aidan said. How? Josephine pulled away. You make $8 an hour. Unless you're planning another scam. I'll call my parents. And sell your soul back to them. If that's what it takes. She studied his face for a long moment. You'd do that? Become everything you hate again. For her. For both of you. Something shifted in her expression. I can't let you. You can't stop me. His phone rang. His father. Changed your mind already. His father's voice carried satisfaction. Agnes needs a transplant. Today. 300,000. I see. And you want our help. I want a loan. I'll pay it back. His father laughed. With what? Your bakery salary? Be realistic, son. You want our money, you accept our terms. Then yes. I accept. But the surgery happens today, or no deal. I'll make the calls. The money will be in the hospital account within the hour. But Aidan, this seals it. You come home tomorrow. The FBI situation will be handled, but you belong to us again. The line went dead. Josephine was staring at him. What did you just do? What I had to. No. She grabbed his hands, flour still under his fingernails from this morning's shift. We'll find another way. Crowdfunding, loans, something. In 6 hours. Joe, be realistic. I don't want you to sacrifice yourself for us. It's not a sacrifice if it's done for love. The word hung between them again, heavier this time. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. William. Need to meet. Now. FBI has a witness. Someone from the weekend who recorded everything. Aidan's blood froze. Recordings meant his parents' connections might not be enough. It meant prison was becoming more likely, not less. I have to go, he told Josephine. Now. Grandma is about to go into surgery. I'll be back. I promise. He found William at a dive bar downtown, a place neither of them would have been caught dead in before. William looked haggard, designer stubble turned into actual desperation. It was one of the girls, William said without preamble. The model I hired to play as CFO. She recorded everything on her phone. The whole pitch, us discussing the scam beforehand, celebrating after. Why? Leverage. She wants $100,000 to delete everything. Pay her. With what? The FBI froze my accounts. I'm broke, Aiden. Actually broke. William laughed bitterly. Guess we both learned what that feels like. My parents. Can't help with this. Paying her off is another crime. Witness tampering. Your father's lawyers were very clear. They can make the charges disappear, but not if you commit new crimes. Aiden's mind raced. What's her name? Candace Chen. She works at Platinum Nights now. Aiden knew the club, had spent countless nights and thousands of dollars there in his past life. I'll handle it. How? Just stay low. Don't contact her again. Aiden left William drowning his fear in cheap whiskey and headed to Platinum Nights. The bouncer, Rico, recognized him despite the changes. Aiden Blackwood? Damn, man, heard you were dead or in rehab or something. Something like that. Candace working tonight. VIP room 3. But yo, she's trouble now. Connected with the Kozlov brothers. The Kozlov brothers, Russian mob, the kind of people even his old crowd avoided. But Aiden couldn't stop now. He found Candace in the VIP room, entertaining a group of businessmen with the same fake laugh she'd used during the scam weekend. She saw him and her smile turned predatory. Aiden. What a surprise. Gentlemen, excuse me for a moment. She led him to a private booth, her recorder app already open on her phone. This conversation is being recorded too, she said. For my protection. What do you want, Candace? What I asked for. 100,000. Though seeing you here, clearly desperate, maybe the price just went up. 200,000. I don't have it. But Daddy does. The FBI showed me interesting things about your family. Shell companies, offshore accounts, political bribes going back decades. I bet they'd pay well to keep their son out of prison. You're trying to blackmail the Blackwoods. She shrugged. Surviving in this city requires creativity. It also requires not making powerful enemies. Is that a threat? It's reality. But I have a better offer. He pulled out his phone, showed her an email he'd drafted. This is my confession. Everything about the scam, taking full responsibility, exonerating you completely. You were just an actress, hired for a legitimate business presentation. You had no knowledge of any fraud. Her eyes narrowed. Why would you do that? Because someone I love is dying, and I don't have time for this. Take the confession. You're clear, William goes down alone. I face my consequences. Or keep pushing, and find out what happens when you threaten people I care about. She studied him. You've changed. The old Aiden would have just had Daddy's lawyers bury me. The old Aiden didn't have anything worth protecting. The grandmother? Or the granddaughter? She smiled knowingly. I watched you that weekend. Every time your phone buzzed, you checked it hoping it was her. Josephine, right. Leave her out of this. Relax. I'm not a monster. Just a survivor. She deleted the recording in front of him. I'll take your confession. But Aiden, the FBI already has enough without me. You're going down regardless. I know. And you're okay with that. I'm okay with Agnes getting her kidney and Josephine getting her future. The rest is just consequences. He sent the confession and left, returning to the hospital to find Agnes already in surgery. Josephine was in the waiting room, curled into a chair like a question mark. Where did you go? She asked. To fix something. More secrets. No more secrets. He sat beside her, took her hand. After Agnes is safe, I'm going to tell you everything. Every ugly truth, every mistake, every crime. And then you can decide if you can forgive me. What if I can't? Then at least you'll be making an informed decision. They sat in silence for 3 hours. Other families came and went, their dramas playing out in whispers and tears. Josephine dozed against his shoulder, and he memorized the feeling, knowing it might be the last time. His phone buzzed. His mother. The payment went through. The surgery is covered. But Aiden, there's a problem. The FBI moved up their timeline. They are coming for you tonight. How long do I have? Maybe 2 hours. Your father's lawyers are filing injunctions, but it's okay, Mom. I knew this was coming. Come home. We can protect you here. At least say goodbye properly. I am home, and I'm saying goodbye to the only family that matters now. He hung up. Josephine was awake, had heard everything. You're going to prison. Probably. For how long? 5 to 10 years. She stood abruptly, paced to the window. This is insane. You can't just accept this. I can't run from it either. Not anymore. Your parents would save me by turning me back into someone you'd hate. Someone I'd hate. He joined her at the window, looking out at the city lights. Joe, I need to tell you something before they come. If you say you love me again. I do. But that's not what I need to say. He turned her to face him. Take the Johns Hopkins opportunity. Your grandmother will be safe. My parents guaranteed her care. Take their stipend, get your degree, become the amazing nurse you're meant to be. Without you. Because of me. Let my mistakes at least create something good. That's not how this works. You don't get to sacrifice yourself and call it love. Then what do you call it? Stupidity. Nobility. Both. She kissed him then, fierce and desperate and full of tears. I hate you for making me love you. I know. I hate that you're choosing prison over freedom. I'm choosing redemption over escape. Same thing, different words. Dr. Martinez appeared, surgical cap still on. The transplant was successful. Agnes is stable. She's asking for you both. They found Agnes in recovery, weak but alert. She took both their hands. My children, she whispered. Both of you, stop looking like it's my funeral. I'm going to live, thanks to you. Aiden's going to prison, Josephine said bluntly. I know, child. He has that look, like a man who's made peace with consequences. You have to talk him out of it. Agnes squeezed Aiden's hand. Would you listen if I tried? No. That's what I thought. You've become stubborn. That's good. Means you've found something worth being stubborn about. She looked between them. You two love each other. Grandma. Hush, Joe. I'm old and just had surgery. I get to speak truth. You love each other, and you're going to let pride and circumstances keep you apart. Don't. Love is rarer than you think. It's worth more than freedom, more than money, more than anything except maybe the life of an old woman who's lived long enough. Agnes, Aiden started. Promise me something, both of you. Promise you won't let my surviving be the thing that kills your love. Promise you'll find a way back to each other. Before either could answer, Aiden's phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Blackwood? This is Agent Sarah Foster with the FBI. We have a warrant for your arrest. We know you're at Mercy General. You have 30 minutes to say goodbye. Then we expect you to surrender yourself in the lobby. If you run, we will hunt you down, and it will be worse. I'll be there. He hung up. Agnes and Josephine were both crying now. 30 minutes, he said. That's more than most people get. It's not enough, Josephine said. A lifetime wouldn't be enough. Then we better make it count. He spent 10 minutes with Agnes, telling her how she'd saved him, how her faith had transformed him, how he'd spend every day in prison trying to be worthy of her belief in him. You already are, she said. Now go spend your last minutes with Joe. I'm tired anyway. In the hallway, Josephine grabbed him, pulled him into an empty room. Run, she said. I know ways out of this hospital. Back entrances, service tunnels. You could disappear. And be running forever. Never able to see you or Agnes again. That's not freedom, Joe. That's just a different prison. At least you'd be out there, living. I wasn't living before I met you. I was just existing in expensive emptiness. He cupped her face. These months with you and Agnes, that was living. Even if I get just these memories for the next decade, it's worth it. You're an idiot. Your idiot. Not mine. Not if you're locked away. Then whose? She kissed him instead of answering, and they spent their last 20 minutes trying to compress a lifetime into moments, whispering promises they might not be able to keep, memoizing touches that would have to last years. Finally, Aiden pulled away. It's time. They walked to the lobby hand in hand. Agent Foster was waiting, a stern woman with kind eyes who at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. Aiden Blackwood, you're under arrest for wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and money laundering. You have the right to remain silent. As she read his rights, Aiden kept his eyes on Josephine. She stood straight, tears streaming but head high, being strong because he needed her to be. "I'll wait," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "However long it takes, I'll wait. Don't. Live your life. Be happy. Don't you dare tell me how to love you." The agents led him away in handcuffs, past the reception desk where 6 months ago he would have demanded special treatment, past the parking lot where he'd once abandoned a Lamborghini because he was bored with the color. As the FBI car pulled away, he saw Josephine through the rear window, standing in the hospital entrance like a beacon he'd navigate back to, no matter how long it took. His phone had been confiscated, but not before he saw one last text from his father. "The offer stands. One word and you're free." Freedom. Such a relative concept. He'd been free his whole life and felt like a prisoner. Now, heading to actual prison, he felt freer than ever. Because he'd chosen this. Chosen consequences over escape, truth over lies, love over comfort. The processing was humiliating. Fingerprints, photographs, the orange jumpsuit that marked him as what he'd become, a criminal. But also what he'd chosen to become, a man who faced his mistakes. His cellmate was a 60-year-old named Thomas who'd embezzled from his company to pay for his wife's cancer treatment. "First time?" Thomas asked. "Yes." "What did you do?" "Hurt people to help people. Thought the ends justified the means." Thomas laughed. "Don't we all? What's her name?" "How do you know there's a her?" "There's always a her. Or a him. Or a them. Nobody sacrifices themselves for principles. They sacrifice for people." "Josephine. Her name is Josephine. She worth it?" Aiden thought of her eyes, her strength, her refusal to let life break her despite every reason it had given her. "She's worth everything." "Then you'll survive this. Love makes you stronger than you think." That night, lying on a thin mattress that made Agnes's couch feel like luxury, Aiden thought about transformation. 6 months ago, he'd had everything and felt nothing. Now he had nothing and felt everything. The pain of separation from Josephine, the joy of knowing Agnes would survive, the pride of finally becoming someone worth being. Prison would be hard. Years without her would be torture. But he'd endure it. Because Agnes had taught him that love wasn't just a feeling, it was a choice you made every day, especially the hard days. And Josephine had taught him that some things were worth losing everything for. As he drifted towards sleep, he whispered her name like a prayer, like a promise, like a map home. Somewhere across the city, in a small apartment above a bakery, he knew she was whispering his. 6 months into his sentence at Martinsville Federal Correctional Facility, Aiden had developed a routine. Wake at 5 a.m., work in the kitchen until noon, library until 4 p.m. where he taught literacy to other inmates, exercise until 6, then read Josephine's letters until lights out. She wrote every week without fail, long letters about Agnes's recovery, her studies at Johns Hopkins, the small moments of life he was missing. But this week, no letter came. "Maybe it's delayed," Thomas said, watching Aiden check the mail for the 3rd time. "She's never missed a week. Something's wrong." The next day, he was called to the warden's office. His parents were there, his mother in Chanel, his father in Armani, both looking utterly out of place in the institutional gray. "What happened?" Aiden asked immediately. "Is it Agnes? Josephine?" "They are fine," his mother said quickly. "But there's something you need to know." His father slid a tablet across the desk. On it was a news article, Blackwood heirs prison romance, the cleaning lady's granddaughter who captured a billionaire's son. The article was devastating. Photos of Josephine at the hospital, at Johns Hopkins, even entering the apartment above the bakery. Her entire history exposed. Her parents' death, their financial struggles, intimate details that could only have come from someone close to them. "This is just the first," his father said. "The tabloids are having a feeding frenzy. They are camping outside Agnes's apartment, following Josephine to classes, offering her classmates money for information." "You did this," Aiden said, rage building. "You leaked this to force her away from me." "We didn't," his mother said firmly. "We may not approve, but we wouldn't hurt an innocent girl this way." "Then who?" "William Ashford. He sold the story from prison for $50,000. Apparently, he blames you for his situation and wanted revenge." Aiden felt the floor tilt. William, who he'd tried to protect in his confession. William, who knew enough details to make the story credible and salacious. "I need to call her," Aiden said. "She's changed her number," his father said quietly. "And she's requested that you stop writing." The words hit like physical blows. "No, she wouldn't." His mother pulled out a letter. Josephine's handwriting. Aiden. The media attention is destroying our lives. Agnes can't leave the apartment without being mobbed. I've had to take a leave from school because reporters disrupted my clinical rotations. Patients' privacy was violated because photographers tried to sneak into the hospital. This isn't your fault, but it's the reality of being connected to you. Your world and mine were never meant to intersect. I was foolish to think love could bridge that gap. Please don't write anymore. Let us disappear back into the invisibility that kept us safe. Let me remember the man you became, not the circus your name creates. I'm sorry. Jay. It's fake, Aiden said immediately. She wouldn't write this. The handwriting has been verified, his father said gently. Son, I know this hurts, but perhaps it's for the best. You can focus on your rehabilitation, and when you get out. Get out. Aiden's voice was deadly quiet. Both of you. Get out. Aiden. Get out. They left, and Aiden collapsed into the chair. The warden, who'd been silent throughout, finally spoke. That girl loves you, son. This letter. This is love trying to protect you from guilt. What do you mean? She's taking herself off the board so you don't spend your sentence worried about her. It's what people do when they love someone more than themselves. But knowing that didn't make it hurt less. The next 3 months were the darkest of Aiden's life. Without Josephine's letters, prison became what it was meant to be, punishment. He stopped teaching, stopped exercising, stopped everything except existing. Thomas tried to pull him out of it. You're giving up? After everything? What's the point? I've lost her. You've lost contact. That's not the same thing. She asked me to let her go. And you're just going to listen? The Aiden who came in here would have fought. That Aiden had hope. Everything changed when Marcus Chen visited. Not his old friend, Josephine's Marcus, a fellow nursing student she'd mentioned in letters. I'm not supposed to be here, Marcus said without preamble. Joe would kill me if she knew. But you need to know the truth. What truth? She's not okay. She hasn't been okay since the story broke. She pretends, goes through the motions, but she's dying inside. The letter. She wrote it crying so hard she could barely see. Agnes begged her not to send it, but Joe said it was the only way to protect you. Protect me from what? Marcus pulled out his phone, showed Aiden more articles. Josephine being called a gold digger, a social climber. Agnes portrayed as a manipulative old woman who orchestrated everything. Their apartment building surrounded by photographers. Josephine being forced to take online classes because the disruption to the hospital was affecting patient care. It's worse than what made the news, Marcus said. She's received death threats from people who think she trapped you. Your old crowd has made it their mission to destroy her. Someone spray-painted gold digger on Agnes's door. Josephine found her grandmother trying to clean it off herself, at her age, with her still recovering kidney. Aiden felt sick. I did this to them. No, the world did this. But Joe thinks if she suffers in silence, at least you won't have to carry the guilt while you're locked up. I need to get out. Your parents could make that happen. At a price I can't pay. Marcus leaned forward. What if I told you there's another way? Joe's been working on something. She didn't want you to know because it might not work, but she's been investigating William's other scams. Building a case that you were just one victim among many, that your confession was coerced. That's not true. The coercion part is. William threatened to destroy Agnes and Josephine if you didn't help him. That's what Joe's arguing. She's got 3 other victims willing to testify that William used similar tactics on them. She's trying to get me out. She's been working 18-hour days between school and building your case. She's hired a lawyer with the money she should be using for food. She's killing herself to save you, just like you killed yourself to save them. Why didn't she tell me? Because she knew you'd stop her. You'd choose your punishment over her sacrifice, just like she's choosing her suffering over your guilt. That night, Aiden made a decision. He called his parents. I'll take your deal, he said when his father answered. After all this time. Why now? Because Josephine is suffering for my sins. End it. Make the media go away. Protect her and Agnes. In exchange, I'll be the son you want when I get out. And if we can get you out sooner. No. I serve my time. That's non-negotiable. But you make sure Joe and Agnes are safe and left alone. And the girl. You'll give her up. The words tasted like ash. Yes. Within 48 hours, the stories disappeared. Retractions were printed. The photographers vanished. A generous scholarship appeared in Josephine's account from an anonymous donor. Agnes's medical bills were mysteriously paid in full. Josephine knew immediately what had happened. Her next letter was brief. You promised me no more sacrifices. You lied. She didn't write again for 2 months. When she finally did, it was to tell him Agnes had taken a turn. The kidney is fine, but her heart is failing. The doctors say it's just age, but I know better. She misses you. We both do. But missing isn't enough anymore. Aidan applied for compassionate release to visit Agnes. Denied. His parents could have pushed it through, but the price would be accepting immediate parole, something he'd promised himself he wouldn't do. 2 weeks later, Thomas found him in his cell, crying over a simple note. She's gone. Peacefully, in her sleep. Her last words were about you. That you were the son she never had, that loving you was one of her greatest joys. The funeral is Thursday. I know you can't come. She knew too. She understood. She left you something. I'll send it when I can bear to go through her things. J. Thursday came. Aidan sat in his cell, picturing the funeral he couldn't attend. The woman who'd saved his life, who'd shown him what unconditional love looked like, was being laid to rest, and he was counting concrete blocks on a prison wall. I'm sorry for your loss, the guard said, having heard the news. Even the guards had come to respect Aidan, watching him transform from entitled rich kid to someone who tutored other inmates and never caused trouble. She deserved better than dying without me there. She had you for the time that mattered. That's more than most get. That night, Aidan dreamed of Agnes. She was young, vibrant, standing in a kitchen that smelled like fresh bread. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, she said in the dream. I didn't save you so you could waste away in guilt. I failed you. You loved me. You loved my granddaughter. That's not failure, child. That's success. I lost everything. You gained everything. You just can't see it yet. A week after the funeral, a package arrived. Inside was Agnes's Bible, worn soft with use. Pressed between the pages were photos, him at the bakery, covered in flour. Him and Josephine on the roof. Him teaching Agnes to use a smartphone. All 3 of them at Thanksgiving, the one they'd shared just before his arrest. There was also a letter in Agnes's shaky handwriting. My dear boy, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't mourn too long. I lived a full life, and the last months with you were some of my best. You came to us broken and left us whole. That's the miracle I prayed for, even if the world doesn't see it that way. I know you think you've lost Josephine. You haven't. Love like yours doesn't die from distance or time. It just waits, like seeds in winter soil. She needs time to heal from losing me. Give her that. But don't give up. The man you've become is worth waiting for, worth fighting for. Thank you for becoming the son I always wanted, for loving my granddaughter the way she deserves, for showing an old woman that redemption is real. Until we meet again, Agnes. P.S. Check Psalms 30 verse 5. He found the verse, underlined in faded ink. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Beside it, in Josephine's handwriting, was a note, morning will come. Wait for me. J. The combination of loss and hope broke something in Aidan. He cried until he couldn't breathe, grieving Agnes while clinging to those 4 words from Josephine. His mother visited the next day, having heard about Agnes. I'm sorry, she said, and meant it. She was a remarkable woman. You never met her. I did, actually. After you were arrested. I wanted to understand the woman who succeeded where we failed. And she told me something I'll never forget. She said, you didn't fail. You loved him the only way you knew how. But sometimes love means letting someone fall far enough to finally want to stand. They sat in silence for a moment. Josephine came to see us, his mother said finally. Aidan's head snapped up. When? Yesterday. After the funeral. She wanted to return the money we've been putting in her account. And we refused. She's stubborn. Like someone else I know. His mother smiled slightly. She's remarkable too. I see why you love her. Loved. Past tense. It's over. Is it? Because a woman who's over you doesn't show up at your parents' house demanding we stop trying to buy her forgiveness. She doesn't spend her grandmother's funeral talking about how you would have eulogized her. She doesn't wear your bakery shirt to bed. Yes, she mentioned that, accidentally. Mom, please. Don't give me hope where there isn't any. Hope is all we have sometimes. She stood to leave, then paused. Your father's offer stands. Come home, be who we need you to be, and all this goes away. No. Still. After everything you've lost. Especially after everything I've lost. Agnes died believing I was worth redemption. I won't dish her that by taking the easy way out. His mother studied him. You really have changed. Agnes Washington has that effect on people. 6 months passed. Josephine didn't write, but Marcus kept Aiden informed. She'd graduated top of her class. She'd taken a position at Johns Hopkins Hospital. She was living in a small apartment near the medical campus. She was surviving, if not thriving. She still loves you, Marcus said during a visit. She just doesn't know how to bridge the gap between your worlds. There is no gap. Not anymore. I don't have a world. I gave it up. Did you? Or are you just on pause? Because everyone knows that when you get out, you'll have to choose, go back to the Blackwoods or stay in her world. And staying in her world means what? Working minimum wage again. Living paycheck to paycheck? Is that fair to her? The question haunted Aiden. What did he have to offer Josephine when he got out? Love wasn't enough when you couldn't contribute, couldn't build a life together. That night, he started studying. Business books from the prison library. Online courses in finance and management. He couldn't change his past, but he could prepare for a future, even if that future might not include the woman he loved. A year into his sentence, Thomas was released. His wife's cancer was in remission, and they were moving to Florida to start over. You'll get through this, Thomas told him. And when you do, you fight for her. You hear me? You fight with everything you have. What if she's moved on? Then you respect that. But you don't assume it. You don't give up before you try. Alone in his cell that night, Aiden pulled out Agnes's Bible again. He found the note from Josephine, traced the words with his finger. Morning will come. He had 4 more years minimum before he could find out if morning looked anything like redemption, or if some nights were too long to survive. But Agnes had believed in him. And somewhere in Baltimore, Josephine was wearing his bakery shirt to bed. Maybe that was enough to keep going. Maybe hope was all they had. Maybe hope was all they needed. 3 years into his sentence, Aiden had transformed himself into someone even Agnes would have been proud of. He'd completed his bachelor's degree in business through correspondence courses, started a literacy program that had helped 42 inmates get their JEDs, and developed a small business plan for when he got out, a bakery that would hire former convicts, giving them the second chance Agnes had given him. But all his progress meant nothing the day Marcus visited with devastating news. She's engaged, Marcus said without preamble, knowing sugarcoating would be crueler. The words didn't compute. Aiden stared at Marcus, waiting for the punchline to a joke that wasn't coming. His name is David Chen, no relation to me. He's a doctor at Johns Hopkins. Good guy. Stable. The kind of man who can give her the life she deserves. How long? They've been dating 8 months. The engagement was last week. 8 months. While he'd been writing unsent letters and planning a future, she'd been falling in love with someone else. I shouldn't have come, Marcus said. But you deserve to hear it from a friend, not see it in some tabloid. Does she love him? Marcus hesitated. She's trying to. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. She doesn't talk about you anymore. Your name is like a wound she's trained herself not to touch. After Marcus left, Aiden sat in his cell staring at the business plan he'd been working on. Every calculation, every projection had been built around the dream of walking out of prison to Josephine. Without that, the numbers were just numbers. His new cellmate, Rodriguez, found him hours later, still frozen. Bad news? Rodriguez asked. The worst. Someone died. No. Someone chose to live without me. Rodriguez, who was doing 15 years for armed robbery, sat on his bunk. The girl you're always writing letters to but never sending. Yeah. Let me guess, she got tired of waiting. She got tired of hurting. There's a difference. That night, Aiden did something he hadn't done since arriving in prison. He called his father. I'll take the full deal, he said. Early release, family business, everything. But I have conditions. Name them. Josephine's wedding. If it happens, you pay for everything. Anonymously. Whatever she wants, she gets. Set up a trust for their future children. Make sure she never struggles again. You want us to pay for her to marry another man. I want her to be happy. If that's with someone else, then yes. His father was quiet for a long moment. You really do love her. More than you'll ever understand. I'll make the arrangements. You could be out in 6 months. Make it a year. I need time to adjust to this reality. The next morning, Aidan threw himself into prison work with a fury that concerned even the guards. He taught classes from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. He worked in the kitchen, the laundry, the library, anything to avoid thinking. But nights were unavoidable, and in the darkness, he tortured himself with images of Josephine in white, walking toward another man. 2 months later, an unexpected visitor arrived, Rosette from the bakery. "Look at you," she said, her massive frame squeezed into the visiting room chair. "You've gotten harder. And I don't mean just the muscles. Prison does that. No, heartbreak does that. I heard about the engagement. Good news travels fast. It's not good news. That girl is making the biggest mistake of her life. She's choosing stability, security, someone who won't destroy her life with his baggage." Rosette leaned forward. "Let me tell you something about Josephine Washington. She came to the bakery last month." Aidan's head snapped up. "What?" "Stood outside for an hour before coming in. Ordered the same breakfast you used to make her, eggs over easy, wheat toast, that fancy coffee you learned to make just for her. Sat in your old booth and cried into her plate." "Rosette." "I'm not done. She asked about you, how you were before the arrest. Wanted to hear every story, every moment. That's not a woman in love with another man. That's a woman trying to let go of the love of her life. Then why is she marrying him? Because sometimes we choose what we think we deserve over what we actually want. She thinks she doesn't deserve to wait for you. Thinks she's betraying Agnes's memory by moving on. Girl so twisted up in guilt and grief, she can't see straight. There's nothing I can do from here. You could write her. She asked me not to. Since when do you follow rules?" Rosette stood. "The Aidan who worked for me would have fought. Don't let prison kill that part of you too." That night, Aidan started a letter. Then another. Then dozens. None of them seemed right. How do you tell someone you understand their choice to love someone else? How do you say goodbye to your soulmate? In the end, he wrote simply, "Joe, I heard about David. I hope he makes you happy. I hope he gives you the life you deserve, stable, safe, full of the kind of love that doesn't require sacrifices. Thank you for saving me. Not from prison, but from who I was before. Agnes may have opened the door, but you showed me why walking through it mattered. Be happy. That's all I've ever wanted for you. Forever yours, even when I'm not, Aidan." He sent it before he could change his mind. Her response came 2 weeks later, her handwriting shaky. "Don't do this. Don't give me permission. Don't make this easier. I need it to be hard. I need to remember why we can't work. David is everything right. You are everything real. I'm choosing right because real nearly destroyed us both. Please don't write again. Please let me try to love someone who doesn't make me feel like I'm drowning and flying at the same time. Jay." He honored her request. But late at night, he'd pull out her letters from before, the ones full of hope and love and plans for when you get out. He'd trace her handwriting and wonder if David knew she chewed her lip when concentrating, or that she hummed Motown when cooking, or that she was afraid of butterflies because one got tangled in her hair when she was 5. 6 months before his scheduled early release, everything changed again. William Ashford was killed in prison. A fight over commissary money, the official report said. But his lawyer sent Aidan something William had been holding, a recording from their scheme, but not the one everyone knew about. On it, William could be heard threatening Candace, the model who'd tried to blackmail them. But more importantly, he admitted to running dozens of similar scams, specifically targeting Aidan because he knew about Agnes's illness and Josephine's situation. "He knew you'd be desperate," the lawyer explained. "He sought you out, manipulated you. This recording, combined with the evidence Miss Washington compiled, could potentially overturn your conviction entirely." Joe compiled evidence. 3 boxes worth. She sent them to me a year ago with instructions to use them if new information surfaced. She never stopped fighting for you, Mr. Blackwood. She just stopped letting you see her fight. Aidan's public defender, energized by this new evidence, filed for immediate appeal. The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks out. "If this works, you could be free within the month," the defender said. "Full exoneration. Record expunged. Free." The word felt foreign. Freedom without Josephine wasn't freedom at all. The day before the hearing, his parents visited. "We heard about the appeal," his father said. "If you're exonerated, our deal is void. You won't have to come back to the family business. But the support for Josephine will continue regardless," his mother said. "Aidan, we've watched you these 4 years. You're not the son we tried to force you to be. You're something better. You're the man you chose to become. Agnes Washington did that. No, his father said. Agnes Washington showed you the door. You walked through it. You stayed through it even when it cost you everything. I'm proud of you, his mother said, tears in her eyes. For the first time in your life, I'm genuinely proud of who you are, not who I wanted you to be. The hearing was surreal. The judge reviewed the evidence, listened to the recordings, read through Josephine's meticulous documentation. Mr. Blackwood, the judge said, it's clear you were manipulated into this crime by someone who knew exactly how to exploit your emotional vulnerability. While this doesn't completely absolve you, combined with your exemplary behavior in prison and the programs you've created to help other inmates, I'm inclined to grant immediate release with time served. Your Honor, Aiden said, standing. I need to finish my sentence. The courtroom went silent. His lawyer looked at him like he'd lost his mind. Mr. Blackwood, you're being offered complete freedom. Why would you refuse? Because I need to know I can finish something hard. I need to walk out of prison knowing I paid my debt, not that I found a loophole. The woman I love is marrying someone else because she believes I'm someone who takes shortcuts, who lets money and connections save me from consequences. I need to prove, to her, to myself, that I can see something through to the end. The judge studied him. You understand you're giving up immediate freedom for principle. I'm choosing long-term redemption over short-term relief. Then I'll reduce your sentence to time served plus 6 months. A compromise between justice and mercy. You'll be released exactly 4 years from your initial incarceration. 6 more months. Josephine's wedding was in 3. Back in his cell, Aiden found a letter waiting, not from Josephine, but from David Chen. Mr. Blackwood, you don't know me, but I know everything about you. Jo talks in her sleep. Your name comes up often. I'm writing because I need to know, should I marry her? I love her completely, but I'm not sure she'll ever love me the same way she loves you. Is half a heart enough? Would you take it, if you were me? I'm not asking you to fight for her. I'm asking if I should fight harder or let go. David. Aiden stared at the letter for hours. This man was asking permission to marry the woman Aiden loved. But more than that, he was admitting Josephine still loved Aiden. He wrote back, David, if she's choosing you, she sees something worth choosing. That has to be enough. Love isn't about possessing someone completely. It's about accepting what they can give and being grateful for it. Make her laugh. She doesn't do it enough. Learn to cook her grandmother's mac and cheese. The recipe is in the blue box above the refrigerator. Don't comment when she wears my old bakery shirt to bed. It's her way of honoring the past while choosing the future. Be patient with her walls. They are high because she's been hurt badly. But once you're inside them, she'll defend you with everything she has. She deserves happiness. If you can give her that, then yes, fight harder. Fight with everything you have. Because a woman like Josephine Washington comes along once in a lifetime, and whoever gets to love her, even partially, is the luckiest man alive. Aiden. He sent the letter knowing it was goodbye. His final gift to her. Permission for another man to love her the way he couldn't from behind bars. 3 weeks later, Marcus visited with news. The wedding's been called off. Aiden couldn't breathe. What happened? David read your letter to her. Said if you could love her that selflessly from prison, he couldn't compete with that. He told her she needed to figure out what she really wanted before committing to anyone. How is she? Angry. Confused. Relieved, I think, though she won't admit it. Marcus paused. She's been going to the bakery every morning. Same booth. Same breakfast. Rosette says she's waiting. For what? For you to walk through that door. I have 3 more months. She knows. She did the math. Has it circled on her calendar, the day you're eligible for release. Hope, that dangerous thing Aiden had tried to kill, sparked back to life. What if she changes her mind? Then at least you'll know you both tried. But Aiden, she's not going to change her mind. That woman has loved you through scandal, separation, and nearly marrying another man. That's not the kind of love that just stops. That night, Aiden pulled out fresh paper and began writing. Not a letter to send, but a plan. A real plan for after prison. One that didn't depend on his parents' money or Josephine's forgiveness, but stood on its own merit. He would open that bakery for former convicts. He would hire people like himself, those who'd fallen and were trying to stand. He would name it Agnes's Place and make it a beacon for second chances. And every morning, he would save the booth by the window, just in case a woman with paint-splattered jeans and eyes that held universes decided to walk through the door. 3 months. 92 days. 2,208 hours. He could do this. He could finish strong. He could walk out of prison not as Aiden Blackwood, fallen heir, but as Aiden, just Aiden, the man Agnes Washington had believed in and Josephine Washington had loved. The darkest part of night was almost over. Morning was coming. With 30 days left until his release, Aiden received an unexpected visitor, Josephine's Aunt Patricia, Agnes's younger sister who lived in Chicago. She was 71, with the same knowing eyes as Agnes but with an edge of steel her sister had softened with kindness. "You look different," Patricia said, studying him. "Harder. Stronger. More like the man Agnes saw in you from the beginning." "You knew." "Agnes called me every week. Told me about the spoiled boy who was learning to be a man. About how her granddaughter was falling for him despite herself." Patricia leaned forward. "She also told me what you did, the scam, the money. All of it." Aiden's shame flared. "I was desperate. You were in love. There's a difference between excuses and reasons." Agnes knew that. Patricia pulled out an envelope, aged and yellowed. "She wrote this the day before she died. Asked me to give it to you when you were ready. I think that's now." The letter inside was brief, Agnes's handwriting shakier than ever. "My boy, by the time Patricia gives you this, you'll have served your time. Not the prison time, that's just consequence. I mean the time it takes to forgive yourself. There's something I never told you. 40 years ago, I stole money. My husband was dying, insurance wouldn't cover his treatment, and I was desperate. I took $10,000 from the family I worked for. They never found out. I paid it back over 5 years, a little at a time. I tell you this so you understand. Good people sometimes do bad things for love. What matters is what we do after. I spent 40 years serving others as penance. You don't need 40 years. You just need to forgive yourself so Joe can forgive you too. She will, you know. That girl loves you with the kind of love that survives everything. Trust in that. Agnes. She never told anyone else," Patricia said. "Just you. Because she saw herself in your mistakes. I don't deserve her forgiveness. Either of theirs. Deserving isn't the point. Love doesn't keep score." Patricia stood. "Joe doesn't know I'm here. But I see her struggling. She goes to work, comes home, and sits with Agnes's photos. She's not living, just existing. The same way you were before Agnes found you. What am I supposed to do? I get out in 30 days with nothing. No job, no money, no way to support her. You have something more valuable than money. You have the ability to make her feel alive again." Patricia headed for the door, then paused. Agnes's apartment. Joe couldn't bear to give it up. Still pays the rent, keeps everything exactly as it was. She goes there when the grief gets too heavy. Maybe start there. After Patricia left, Aiden was called to the warden's office. His parents were there, but this time, they weren't alone. A young woman in a sharp suit stood beside them. "This is Ms. Jennifer Park," his father said. "She's here with a proposition." "Mr. Blackwood," Jennifer began, "I represent a venture capital firm that invests in social enterprises. We've been following your story, particularly the literacy program you developed here. We'd like to fund your bakery concept." Aiden stared. "How do you know about that?" "Your business plan was entered into a national prison entrepreneurship competition by one of the guards. You won. The prize is $500,000 in seed funding, plus mentorship and support." "I don't understand. Why would guards enter my plan without telling me?" The warden spoke up. "Because you've changed this place, Blackwood. Your programs have reduced recidivism among participants by 60%. You've taught men who couldn't read to help their kids with homework. You've given hope where there was none. We wanted to make sure you had the same chance on the outside. The funding comes with conditions," Jennifer continued. "You have to employ at least 50% formerly incarcerated individuals. You have to provide job training and support services. And you have to pay it forward. 10% of profits go to funding other prison rehabilitation programs. Those aren't conditions. That was always the plan. We know. That's why we want to invest." She handed him a contract. "Take your time. The offer stands whenever you're ready." His parents had been silent throughout. Finally, his mother spoke. "We're proud of you. No strings, no conditions. Just proud." His father added, "The family trust will match the investment. Not as parents trying to control you, but as investors who believe in your vision. For the first time in 4 years, Aiden felt like he could breathe fully. He had a chance, a real chance, to build something meaningful. With 2 weeks left, Marcus visited one last time. "She knows," he said immediately. "About the funding, the bakery, everything. The news broke yesterday. Billionaire's redeemed son to open Second Chance Bakery. She read it at work and had to excuse herself." "Is she okay?" "Define okay." "She cried for an hour, then spent the rest of her shift smiling for no reason. The other nurses think she's having a breakdown. I need to see her." "No. You need to get out first. Do this right. She's been waiting 4 years. Don't rush the ending." Marcus pulled out his phone, showed Aiden a photo. "But you should see this." It was Josephine at Agnes's grave, laying fresh flowers. She wore the bakery shirt, his shirt, despite it being too big and faded. She was talking to the headstone, her hand resting on the marble like she was holding Agnes's hand. "She goes every Sunday," Marcus said. "Tells Agnes about her week, about you, about how she's trying to be strong but failing. What does she say about me? That she's scared you've outgrown her. That you're about to re-enter a world where you could have anyone, and she's still just a nurse from above a bakery. That's insane. Is it? You're about to be a successful entrepreneur with national attention and family money. She's seen what your world does to people like her. That's not my world anymore. Prove it to her. Show her that the man getting out is the same one who learned to make bread at 4 a.m., not the one who crashed Ferraris for fun." The last week crawled by. Aiden finalized the bakery plans, signed the investment papers, and arranged everything for his release. He would have a small apartment above the bakery, fitting symmetry. He hired Rosette as head baker and 3 formerly incarcerated men he'd taught in prison as initial staff. The night before his release, he couldn't sleep. 4 years, 3 months, and 6 days after walking into prison, he would walk out. But toward what? Josephine hadn't written, hadn't indicated if she wanted to see him. He could be walking toward a new beginning or a final ending. Release day came with no fanfare. His parents offered to pick him up. He declined. He wanted to do this alone, the way Agnes would have, with dignity and determination. The clothes his parents had sent fit perfectly, simple jeans, a button-down shirt, nothing flashy. He signed his release papers, collected his few belongings, and walked through the gates into a gray March morning. Freedom felt surreal. No one telling him where to go, when to eat, when to sleep. The choices were overwhelming and terrifying. He took a bus, public transportation, something the old Aiden would have died before using. The route took him through the old neighborhood, past the bakery where everything had started. It was afternoon when he arrived, prime coffee break time. Through the window, he saw her. Josephine sat in their booth, the one by the window where she'd first really seen him, flour-covered and exhausted. She had a cup of coffee growing cold, a medical journal open but unread. She was watching the door. Waiting. He stood frozen on the sidewalk. 4 years of imagining this moment, and now he couldn't move. What if she was waiting to say goodbye? What if Marcus was wrong? What if? You going in or just going to stand there all day? Rosette had emerged from the bakery, flour in her hair, hands on her hips. I don't know if she wants. Boy, that woman has sat in that booth every single day for the past 2 weeks. She takes her lunch break here, even though the hospital is 40 minutes away. She's read the same page of that journal 50 times. What do you think she wants? Closure, maybe. Rosette smacked him upside the head, gently, but firmly. The only thing that needs closing is the distance between you two. Now get in there before I drag you in. Aiden walked through the door. The bell chimed, the same bell from 4 years ago. Several customers looked up, did double takes. Someone whispered, "Is that the Blackwood heir?" But Aiden only saw Josephine. She looked up at the bell, and their eyes met. Time stopped. 4 years collapsed into nothing. She was older, tiny lines around her eyes from long shifts and late studying. Her hair was shorter, more professional. But her eyes, those devastating brown eyes, held the same mix of strength and vulnerability that had undone him from the start. "Hi," he said, the word pathetically inadequate. "You're late," she replied. "I've been waiting since noon." "I meant 4 years late." "That too." He approached slowly, like she might spook. "May I sit?" She nodded. He slid into the booth across from her, the same positions from that first day when she'd hated him and he'd been too broken to care. "You look good," she said. "Stronger. You look tired." 12-hour shift. Didn't sleep last night. Couldn't stop thinking about today. She closed the journal. I heard about the bakery. The funding. Everything. It's Agnes's dream, really. A place for second chances. She'd love that. Josephine's fingers traced patterns on the table. I'm sorry about David. Are you? No. That's the problem. I should be sorry for hurting a good man, but I'm just relieved. She looked up at him. He deserved someone who could love him completely. I couldn't. My heart was already occupied. Joe. I'm angry at you, she interrupted. 4 years of anger I've been saving up. You made decisions for both of us. You chose to sacrifice yourself without asking if that's what I wanted. You chose prison over your parents' help. You chose to give David permission to love me like you had any right. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not done. I'm angry that you became this incredible person in prison, teaching, learning, growing, while I was out here just existing. I'm angry that you made me love you so much that no one else could compare. I'm angry that you're sitting here now, and all I want to do is kiss you, but I'm too mad to give you that satisfaction. How long are you planning to stay angry? I don't know. 5 minutes. 5 years. Depends on what you say next. Aiden reached into his pocket, pulled out a worn envelope. I've been carrying this for 2 years. Wrote it the night you got engaged. Never sent it because you asked me not to write. But I need you to read it now. She opened it carefully. Inside was a single page. Joe, if you're reading this, it means I got brave enough to fight for us. Or stupid enough. Maybe they are the same thing. I know I have no right to ask you to wait. No right to ask for another chance. I'm a convicted felon with a famous name that brings nothing but trouble. You could have anyone, someone clean, simple, whose love doesn't come with photographers and whispers. But here's what I can offer. I will love you every day like it's both the first and last day. I will work endless hours to build something worthy of Agnes's memory. I will never again make decisions for us, only with us. I will be the man Agnes saw in me, the one you helped create. I'm not asking you to love the idea of us or the memory of what we had. I'm asking if you can love the reality of who I am now, flawed, scarred, but completely yours. If the answer is no, I'll respect that. I'll stay away. I'll let you live your life in peace. But if there's a chance, even a small one, that you could forgive me, that we could try again, then I'm asking you to take it. Because Joe, you're not my second chance. You're my only chance. At love, at happiness, at the life Agnes wanted for both of us. Forever yours, even when I'm not, Aiden. She read it twice, tears streaming. Then she looked up at him. You want to know something terrible? I wrote you letters too. Every day for 6 months after you went to prison. Then weekly for a year. Then whenever the pain got too heavy. I have a box full of letters I never sent. Why didn't you send them? Because they all said the same thing. I love you, I miss you, I'm waiting for you. And I was terrified that if you knew how much I needed you, you'd make another stupid sacrifice. You'd take your parents' deal or do something else destructive trying to save me. You were probably right. I know I was right. You have a savior complex. It's annoying. She wiped her tears. But it's also why I love you. Because you don't just want to save people. You're willing to sacrifice yourself to do it. I'm working on that. The complex, not the love. Good. Because I don't need saving anymore. I need a partner. An equal. Someone who makes decisions with me, not for me. Is that an offer? It's a requirement. If we do this, and I'm not saying we are, but if we do, it's as equals. Your money, your name, your connections, they don't matter. We build from scratch, together. I don't have money anymore. Just the investment for the bakery. Good. I like you better poor. You're less of an ass. So. He reached across the table, palm up. Are we doing this? She stared at his hand for a long moment. I have conditions. Name them. We go slow. 4 years is a long time. We're different people now. Agreed. We both get therapy. Individual and couples. We have too much baggage to navigate alone. Already started. Prison counseling counted as therapy. I keep my apartment for now. We date like normal people. No rushing into living together just because we've waited so long. Okay. And you wear this. She pulled something from her bag, his old bakery name tag, the one from his first day. To remember where we started. You kept this. I kept everything. The shirt you're wondering about. I sleep in it. The apron from your first day. It's hanging in my kitchen. The terrible cookies you made that were basically salt licks. I still have one in my freezer. Why? Because I'm an idiot who fell in love with disaster of a man and never figured out how to stop. She took his hand. The touch was electric. 4 years of separation ending in the simple interlacing of fingers. Around them, the bakery continued its rhythm, customers chatting, espresso machine hissing, Rosette pretending not to watch while crying into her mixing bowl. So what now? Josephine asked. Now we do what Agnes would want. We build something beautiful from broken pieces. That sounds like a lot of work. Everything worth having is. She squeezed his hand. When does the new bakery open? 6 weeks. Assuming I can find a nurse who knows how to make Agnes's mac and cheese for the menu. I might know someone. But she's expensive. Demands things like respect and equal partnership and probably lots of kissing. Sounds reasonable. And Sunday dinners at Agnes's apartment. I can't give it up. It still smells like her. Then we keep it. Make it our Sunday tradition. Our. I like that word. Me too. They sat there, hands clasped, relearning each other's rhythms. The anger Josephine had mentioned seemed to have dissipated, replaced by something softer but stronger, the kind of love that had survived time, distance, and heartbreak. I'm scared, she admitted. What if we can't make it work? What if the real world is too hard for us? Then we fail. But Joe, we've already survived the worst, separation, loss, thinking we'd lost each other forever. Whatever comes next can't be harder than what we've already endured. Promise. I promise to try. That's all anyone can promise. She nodded, then stood. Walk me to my car. They left the bakery hand in hand, Rosette openly sobbing now, customers smiling at the reunion they'd witnessed. Outside, the March air was warming towards spring. At her car, a sensible Honda that screamed Josephine's practicality, she turned to him. I'm working tonight. But tomorrow's Sunday. Agnes's apartment. Noon. Bring groceries. We'll cook her recipes and figure out which ones work for the bakery. It's a date. Our first in 4 years. No, he corrected. Our first as the people we've become. She studied him, then pulled him down for a kiss. It was nothing like their desperate kiss on the roof 4 years ago. This was intentional, slow, a promise rather than a goodbye. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. The anger's gone, she said. In case you were wondering. What replaced it? Hope. Terrible, wonderful hope. She drove away, and Aiden stood on the sidewalk, watching until her car disappeared. Then he walked to his new apartment above the soon-to-be Agnes's place, ready to build the life they'd dreamed of in letters never sent and words never spoken. Tomorrow would come with challenges. The bakery might fail. The media might resurface. Their love might not be enough to bridge 4 years of change. But tonight, Aiden Blackwood, no longer heir, no longer inmate, just a man who'd learned to make bread and love equally well, had hope. And sometimes, hope was everything. 6 months after their reunion, Agnes's place had become more than just a bakery. It was a phenomenon. The story of Aiden's transformation and second chance had attracted national attention. But more importantly, it had created something unprecedented. A thriving business that employed 4 to 7 formerly incarcerated individuals, had a waiting list of companies wanting to partner with them, and had spawned similar ventures in 12 other cities. Josephine had moved into the apartment above the bakery 3 months earlier, after what she called the world's longest courtship. They'd kept their promise of going slow, of building something real rather than rushing into the fantasy they'd constructed during separation. Some nights were harder than others. PTSD from his imprisonment, her trust issues from years of abandonment, the simple challenge of learning to share space again. But they'd persevered, supported by couples therapy twice a week and their shared commitment to honoring Agnes's memory. The morning that would change everything started like any other. Aiden was downstairs by 4 a.m., teaching Marcus Williams, a former lifer, how to perfect the sourdough starter that had become their signature. Josephine was getting ready for her shift as head of pediatric nursing at Johns Hopkins, a promotion she'd earned 6 months prior. You're distracted, Marcus observed, watching Aiden knead dough with unusual force. What's eating you? Nothing. Just thinking. About. Aiden paused. He'd been carrying a secret for 2 weeks now. The ring hidden in the flower canister upstairs, his plan to propose on the anniversary of Agnes's death next month. But that wasn't what was bothering him today. My parents called yesterday. They want to meet with both of us tonight. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That sounds ominous. It did. Aiden's relationship with his parents had improved dramatically. They were proud of what he'd built, supportive of his relationship with Josephine, and had become major donors to the prison rehabilitation programs he'd helped create. But unexpected meeting requests usually meant problems. At 6 a.m., Josephine came downstairs, coffee in hand, already dressed in scrubs decorated with tiny dinosaurs, the pediatric ward's favorite. "Morning meeting?" she asked, kissing him quickly. Marcus was just learning the sourdough schedule. "I was learning about your parents' mysterious dinner invitation," Marcus corrected with a grin. Josephine's expression shifted. "What dinner invitation?" "They called yesterday. Want to meet tonight. Both of us." "About what?" "They wouldn't say." Josephine had come a long way in her relationship with the Blackwoods. She still found them intimidating, but she'd learned to see past their wealth to the parents who'd been terrified of losing their son to his own destruction. They'd proven their respect for her by never trying to change her, never suggesting she was anything less than perfect for Aiden. But unexpected invitations still made her nervous. "Whatever it is," she said, straightening his apron, "we handle it together." "Together," he agreed. The day proceeded normally until 2 p.m., when everything exploded. Aiden was in the office, reviewing applications from prospective employees. They received 50 a week now, when his phone rang. William Blackwood. "Son, you need to get to a TV immediately." "Dad, what's?" "CNN. Now." Aiden found the remote, clicked on the small television in the corner. The news anchor's face was grim as she spoke. "Breaking news this afternoon as federal prosecutors announce new charges in what they are calling the largest financial fraud scheme in U.S. history. The Kozlov crime family, previously known for traditional organized crime activities, has been running an elaborate investment scam that has defrauded victims of over $2 billion. Aiden's blood went cold. The Kozlovs, the family Candace had been connected to when she'd tried to blackmail him. The anchor continued. Among the shocking revelations in the 847-page indictment is evidence that the Kozlovs specifically targeted wealthy families, including the use of compromising information about family members to force participation in their schemes. Photos flashed on screen, the Kozlov brothers, various associates, and then, impossibly, photos from Aiden's arrest 4 years earlier. According to court documents, one of the most significant forced participants was Aiden Blackwood, heir to the Blackwood fortune, whose 2020 conviction for wire fraud was allegedly the result of coercion by the criminal organization. The phone slipped from Aiden's hand. On screen, his mugshot from 4 years ago was replaced by recent footage of him at the bakery, then photos of William Ashford. The indictment reveals that William Ashford, Blackwood's former Princeton roommate who organized the fraudulent investment scheme, was working directly for the Kozlovs. According to prosecutors, Ashford was ordered to recruit Blackwood specifically because his desperation regarding an elderly woman's medical bills made him vulnerable to manipulation. Aiden couldn't breathe. His vision tunneled as the anchor's voice continued. Perhaps most shocking is the allegation that Agnes Washington, the elderly woman whose medical needs allegedly motivated Blackwood's participation, was deliberately made sicker through contaminated medication provided by Kozlov associates working within her healthcare system. The world stopped. Court documents suggest Ms. Washington's kidney failure was accelerated by tainted blood pressure medication, and that her eventual death was not from natural causes but from a carefully orchestrated medical murder designed to isolate and further manipulate Blackwood. The television seemed to be speaking from underwater. Aiden's legs gave out, and he crashed into his desk chair as the anchor delivered the final blow. If these allegations prove true, Aiden Blackwood was not a willing participant in financial fraud, but the victim of an elaborate extortion scheme that began with the attempted murder of the woman he considered family. The FBI is expected to announce that all charges against Blackwood will be dropped, and he will be offered victim status in the ongoing investigation. The office door burst open. Josephine stood there, her face white as her uniform, having clearly seen the same broadcast in the hospital break room. "Aiden," she whispered. He looked at her, and in that moment, everything shattered. Not just the truth about his conviction, but the foundation their entire relationship was built on. The redemption story, the noble sacrifice, the man who'd chosen consequences over comfort, all of it was based on a lie. He hadn't been a criminal who'd chosen love over money. He'd been a victim who'd never had a choice at all. And Agnes, beautiful, wise, loving Agnes, had been murdered. "They killed her," he said, the words barely audible. "They killed her to control me." Josephine moved toward him, but he held up a hand, stopping her. Don't. I can't. His phone was ringing constantly now. Parents, lawyers, reporters who'd somehow gotten his number. But all he could hear was Agnes's voice from their last conversation. Be honest. With yourself, with Joe, with your parents. The truth might hurt, but lies will kill what you're trying to build. She'd known. Somehow, she'd known she was dying because of him. I need air, he said, pushing past Josephine toward the back door. Aiden, wait. But he was already outside, stumbling into the alley behind the bakery. The same alley where he'd first met Agnes, where she'd offered him a sandwich and changed his life. Now he knew that moment, that beautiful, transformative moment, had been orchestrated by murderers. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. The parking garage on 5th Street, level 3. Come alone, or everyone you love will die like Agnes did. A friend. The Kozlovs. They knew the truth was out, and they were making their final play. Aiden stared at the message, then at the bakery where his employees, good people, reformed people, were working, unaware that their second chance was built on blood money. He thought of Josephine inside, probably calling his parents, trying to make sense of revelations that changed everything. For 4 years, he'd believed his story was about redemption. Now he realized it was about revenge. He walked back inside. Josephine was on the phone with his mother, tears streaming down her face. She looked up as he entered. They want us to come to the house right now. There are FBI agents there, and lawyers, Anne. No, Aiden said quietly. What do you mean, no? He showed her the text. Her face went ashen. We call the FBI. Right now. You don't go anywhere near. Joe, listen to me. He took her hands, memoizing the feel of them. 4 years ago, I thought I was sacrificing myself for the people I loved. I was wrong. I was being sacrificed by people who wanted to destroy everything good in my life. That's not your fault. Agnes is dead because of me. Not because I made bad choices, but because loving me made her a target. And now they are threatening you. He pulled her close, breathing in her scent one last time. I won't let what happened to her happen to you. What are you saying? I'm saying I love you too much to let you be collateral damage in someone else's war. Understanding dawned in her eyes. No, you're not doing this again. You're not making unilateral decisions about our lives. This isn't a decision. It's necessity. Aiden Blackwood. Her voice carried the full force of 4 years' worth of love and fury. If you walk out that door to play hero, if you choose martyrdom over partnership one more time, I will never forgive you. Never. He cupped her face, tears running down his cheeks. Then I guess I'll have to live with that. Because I can't live with you dying because of me. He kissed her, desperate, final, full of 4 years' worth of love and a lifetime's worth of regret. When he pulled away, she was crying. This isn't love, she said. This is cowardice. Love would be trusting me to face this with you. Maybe. But Agnes loved me, and she died for it. I won't make that mistake twice. He handed her his phone. Call the FBI in 20 minutes. Tell them everything. Give them this address. He wrote quickly on a piece of paper. Promise me. I promise to call them right now. 20 minutes. Give me that much head start. To do what? To end this. To make sure you're safe. To finish what they started when they killed the only mother I ever really had. He walked toward the door, and she followed. If you leave, don't come back, she said, her voice breaking. I mean it. If you choose this path, choose it completely. Don't expect me to be here when you're done playing savior. He stopped at the door, hand on the handle. I know. I love you. I love you too. That's why I'm doing this. No. If you loved me, you'd stay. You'd fight with me instead of for me. He looked back one last time, memorizing her face, beautiful, furious, heartbroken. Maybe you're right. But some mistakes are worth making. He walked out, closing the door on the love of his life, and headed toward a confrontation that would either free them both or destroy him completely. Behind him, he heard her scream his name, heard her pounding on the door he'd locked from the outside. But he didn't turn back. Because love, he'd learned, sometimes meant being strong enough to become the villain in someone else's story if it meant keeping them safe. The parking garage was a tomb of concrete and shadow. Aiden found level 3 nearly empty except for a black sedan that screamed federal government and a small woman in an expensive coat standing beside it. Not the Kozlov brothers. Candace Chen. Hello, Aiden, she said as he approached. You look shocked. You sent the text. I did. Though I'm not the friend you're expecting. You're working with them. The Kozlovs. Was. Past tense. Amazing how quickly loyalties shift when the FBI offers complete immunity in exchange for testimony. She lit a cigarette with hands that shook slightly. Did you know your girlfriend is calling the authorities right now? Very predictable. Very disappointing. What do you want? To give you a choice. The same kind they gave me 4 years ago. Cooperate, or watch everyone you love suffer. The Kozlovs are finished. The indictment is just the beginning. You think Viktor and Dmitry Kozlov operated alone. They were middle management at best. The real power is still out there, still very interested in controlling you. I don't have anything left to control. You have a national platform. A success story that's inspired dozens of similar programs. Political connections through your parents. And most importantly, you have something the organization has been trying to acquire for decades, legitimacy. The pieces clicked into place. You want me to be their front man. The reformed criminal who's actually still criminal. The reformed criminal who understands that some battles can't be won through legal channels. She took a drag, exhaled slowly. Agnes Washington was a test, Aiden. To see how far you'd go for love. You passed with flying colors. You murdered her to test me. We accelerated an inevitable process. The old woman was dying anyway. We just focused the timeline to create maximum emotional impact. Rage filled him like molten metal. She was 73 years old. She saved my life. She was a tool. A very effective one. Just like you'll be, if you're smart. And if I refuse? Candace pulled out her phone, showed him a live video feed. Josephine was in the bakery, talking frantically to FBI agents who'd arrived faster than expected. Marcus was beside her, trying to calm her down. Impressive response time, Candace noted. Your girlfriend is very thorough. Unfortunately, so are we. The 2 FBI agents she's talking to? They are ours. Have been for years. Do you see the problem? Aiden's blood turned to ice. What do you want? Simple. Walk away. From the bakery, from her, from the life you've built. Disappear quietly, and everyone stays healthy. Try to fight us, and we'll destroy everything you've created, starting with the woman who refused to give up on you. You can't expect me to just. I expect you to be smart. Agnes Washington was a warning. The next demonstration will be more comprehensive. She crushed out her cigarette, ground it under her heel. You have 24 hours to decide. Disappear, or watch your world burn. Your choice. She got in the sedan and drove away, leaving Aiden alone with an impossible decision and the terrible knowledge that every good thing in his life had been built on lies and murder. His phone buzzed. A text from Josephine. The FBI agents are fake. I figured it out. Real FBI is on the way. Where are you? Another text, from the same unknown number as before. Smart girl. Too bad it won't save her. Then a third message, this one with a photo that made his knees buckle. Josephine, taken through the bakery window, with crosshairs superimposed over her face. 24 hours, read the caption. Aiden stared at the phone, at the woman he loved more than life itself caught in the crosshairs of his past. Every choice he'd made, every sacrifice, every attempt to protect her had led to this moment. The truth about Agnes. The lie about his redemption. The terrible reality that loving him was a death sentence. But this time, he wouldn't choose martyrdom over partnership. This time, he'd choose war. He dialed Josephine's number, and when she answered, his voice was steel-wrapped in velvet. Joe, I need you to listen very carefully. We're about to find out what we're really made of. The real FBI arrived 17 minutes after Aiden's call. By then, he and Josephine had barricaded themselves in the bakery's office, surrounded by 23 former convicts who'd formed an impromptu army around their boss and his woman. Marcus Williams stood guard at the front door with a rolling pin that looked more dangerous than most weapons. This is exactly what Agnes would have wanted, Josephine said, watching through the window as federal agents swarmed the building. You, finally making decisions with people instead of for them. Agent Sarah Foster, the same woman who'd arrested him 4 years earlier, entered with her team, but this time her expression held respect instead of pity. Mr. Blackwood. Miss Washington. We have a situation. The next 6 hours unraveled everything. The fake agents were Kozlov operatives who'd infiltrated federal law enforcement years earlier. Candace Chen had been working as a triple agent. Kozlov to FBI to a third organization none of them had known existed. William Ashford's death in prison hadn't been random violence but an execution to keep him from revealing the full scope of the conspiracy. And Agnes, beautiful, wise Agnes, had figured it out. She kept records, Agent Foster explained, spreading documents across Aiden's desk. Every medication, every doctor's visit, every unusual symptom. She documented everything because she suspected someone was trying to harm her. Look at this. Agnes's handwriting, shaky but determined. The pills taste different today. Aiden doesn't know. I won't worry him. But something is wrong. She knew she was being poisoned. Josephine's voice broke. More than that. She was building a case. These documents were hidden in her apartment, along with recordings she made on her phone. She'd been investigating the Kozlov organization for months before she died. Agent Foster played a recording. Agnes's voice, weak but furious. My boy doesn't know what they are doing to me. But I know what they are doing to him. They think they can use love as a weapon. They are wrong. Love is the weapon. Love is what will destroy them. Aiden felt his legs give out. Josephine caught him, held him as he wept for the woman who'd protected him even as she was dying. There's more, Agent Foster said gently. She contacted us 3 days before her death. Set up a dead man's switch. If anything happened to her, all her evidence would be released automatically. That's what triggered the investigation that led to today's indictment. She saved us, Josephine whispered. Even after death, she saved us. The trials took 18 months. Aiden and Josephine testified together, hands clasped, telling the world about Agnes Washington, the woman whose love had redeemed a lost heir and whose courage had brought down an international crime syndicate. The Kozlov brothers received life sentences. Candace Chen disappeared into witness protection. The corrupt FBI agents were prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But more importantly, Agnes's story inspired something unexpected. Prison reform accelerated nationwide. The Second Chance Foundation, established with Agnes's name and funded by anonymous donors who turned out to be Aiden's parents, created opportunities for thousands of formerly incarcerated individuals. Agnes's place expanded to 37 locations across the country. Each one employed exclusively formerly incarcerated individuals and featured a small shrine to Agnes Washington, a photo of her feeding sandwiches to the homeless, surrounded by fresh flowers that customers and employees refreshed daily. On the 2nd anniversary of Agnes's death, Aiden and Josephine returned to that bench in the park where everything had started. They'd married 6 months earlier in a small ceremony at the original bakery, exchanging rings made from Agnes's old wedding band, melted down and reformed into matching symbols of love reborn. I have something for you, Aiden said, pulling out an envelope. Inside were adoption papers. I want to legally change my name to Aiden Washington Blackwood. If you'll let me carry her name forward. Josephine's tears came immediately. She'd love that. She always said you were the son she never had. And I want to adopt Marcus Williams as our brother. And Rosa Santos. And David Kim. All of them, everyone from the original bakery. I want us to be a family the way Agnes understood family. Chosen. Committed. Unbreakable. That's 12 people. 13, if you count the baby. Josephine's breath caught. What baby? Aiden knelt on the same bench where Agnes had offered him a sandwich and salvation. The baby we're going to have. The one we're going to name after the woman who taught us that love isn't about possession, it's about liberation. Agnes Josephine Washington Blackwood. Our daughter. He pulled out a ring, not expensive, not flashy. Just a simple band with Agnes's birthstone. I'm not asking you to marry me again. I'm asking you to help me build the family Agnes dreamed of. One where love makes us stronger instead of targets. Yes, Josephine whispered, then louder. Yes, yes, forever yes. As he slipped the ring on her finger, a butterfly landed on the bench between them. The same kind Josephine had once feared as a child. She didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled as it perched delicately on her hand. Agnes always said butterflies were angels, she said. Maybe she's telling us she approves. They sat together as the sun set, planning their expansion into transitional housing, educational programs, and healthcare services for the formerly incarcerated. Their love story had become something bigger, a movement, a legacy, a living memorial to a woman who'd died protecting them. Do you think she knows? Josephine asked. About everything we've built. I think Agnes Washington is exactly where she always planned to be, watching her children change the world, one second chance at a time. 6 months later, Agnes Josephine Washington Blackwood was born on a Tuesday morning in spring, surrounded by 12 adoptive aunts and uncles who'd found family in the most unlikely place. She had her mother's eyes and her father's stubborn chin, and when she smiled, everyone swore she looked exactly like the great-grandmother she'd never meet but whose love had made her existence possible. The first words she heard weren't mama or dada, but a prayer Aidan whispered as he held her for the first time. Thank you, Agnes. For everything. For saving me, for loving us, for showing us that family isn't about blood, it's about who stays when staying gets hard. And somewhere, in the space between memory and hope, an old woman who'd spent her life feeding sandwiches to the lost smiled and whispered back, "You're welcome, my boy. Now go change the world." What did this story teach you about the power of redemption, second chances, and the families we choose? Agnes Washington proved that love isn't about what we can afford to give, it's about what we can't afford to lose. Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories that will change how you see the world. Some journeys end. Others just show us where to begin.